if it's fun, you're going to keep doing it and you're going to want to excel and you're going to keep moving up the levels. When it becomes not fun, that's when you have a problem because then you don't want to do it anymore.
Welcome to Sports Mom Rapport, where we support and connect with moms of athletes while sharing helpful advice from each other and some guest experts along the way. This is Tara.
And I'm Destiny. Thank you for joining us as we highlight you incredible moms. Hey girl, today we get to speak with Luan Peszek. She is a sports mom with multiple roles in gymnastics. She was actually a gymnast at the University of Illinois and raised two phenomenal gymnast daughters, which I can't wait to hear all about.
Totally. I am so excited to highlight Luan. It will be really nice to get to know her better and learn from a sports mom who has such a huge amount of experience.
And as we all know, managing sports schedules and a professional career can be so demanding, yet Luan always seems to have a smile on her face.
She does. She definitely has a sunny disposition. I'm looking forward to hearing about her journey to becoming a personal recruiting advisor and how she guides young athletes to find their right school. Let's welcome Luan.
Thank you for being here, Luan.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So would you share with us your professional and athletic background, as well as introduce us to your family?
Sure. I was a gymnast growing up, ended up getting a scholarship to go to the University of Illinois, where I competed for 4 years. Loved my experience there. It was so fun. Then I went and got my master's degree and coached at Northern Illinois University for women's gymnastics. Also a wonderful experience. Then I took a job at USA Gymnastics in Indianapolis, and I worked there 30 years. So I had a number of roles at USA Gymnastics and really loved all of them. And then I've now segued to Jill Hicks Consulting and helping families with the college recruiting process.
Thank you. And tell us a little bit about your family.
Sure. My husband, I have Ed, and he was a wrestler at Illinois. That's where we met. He was also a hockey player there. Then I had two daughters. My oldest is Samantha, and my youngest is Jessie. They are both gymnasts. Sam went the elite route and made the Olympic team in 2008, which was such a special event. Then she came back, finished high school, and went to UCLA and did gymnastics there for 5 years. My youngest daughter, Jessie, did not do the elite route, just went level 10, which was amazing. She also got a scholarship to Western Michigan. She is now moving on and doing other things in her career.
I would definitely say that athletics runs in the family.
Yes, we from a very early age had them doing activities.
That's awesome. How do you think that your own athletic experience influenced your daughter's interest in gymnastics and their ambitions?
I feel like as a family, we were just always so active. We always were doing something and we always made a game out of everything. So we didn't have a lot of downtime in our house. We were always playing this game or that game or going for a bike ride or going for a walk, just being active. And so we introduced both girls to gymnastics when they were really little, probably like most families, and they loved it. They really excelled and they loved it. They wanted to go to the gym. And that was the best part, that they just couldn't wait to get to the gym. It was like their playground.
Sure. I can tell they enjoy gymnastics so much. I can see with your daughter Sam's Beam Queen boot camp, she really keeps the fun and games in gymnastics.
Yeah, and I think that's so important because if it's fun, you're going to keep doing it and you're going to want to excel and you're going to keep moving up the levels. When it becomes not fun, that's when you have a problem because then you don't want to do it anymore. Fun is a very important key factor, I think.
Totally. That's always been a motto in our home as well. When you take the fun out of it and you get burnt out, there's no reason to be doing it anymore. And it makes it so sad that you lost the spark.
Right. You always have to remember why you started gymnastics in the first place, because it was fun. You couldn't wait to jump in the pit or walk on the balance beam or whatever. So as girls get older and it gets harder, you have to kind of remind them, remember why it was so much fun.
How would you say your experience as a Division I athlete and even your husband's differed from your two daughters' experiences as Division I athletes?
I think all four of us had an amazing experience. We really did. When the girls were little, we talked about our experiences and how much we enjoyed it. So I think in the back of their mind, they were always destined to do college athletics because they had heard so much about it. And they were so excited to one day do college athletics. And then when Sam did her elite thing, at that time, not many girls did college gymnastics. I mean, a few had, but not many did elite and then went on to do college. And Sam, that was all she wanted to do. She wanted to do college. So she fulfilled one goal and then went right to the next one. So I think our experiences as D1 athletes really encouraged our girls to move on and do college athletics as well.
Thank you for sharing that.
I'm interested to hear how your family managed the Olympic and collegiate demands, specifically as it pertains to time management and work-life balance.
Right. So Sam did regular high school her whole career. She never did the homeschool route, which is great for some people, but for our family, it didn't work out. I worked full-time. My husband worked full-time. So it was just really hard to manage anything other than going to a traditional school. We found ways for her to get from school to gymnastics. So she really had a very long day. She would do high school, usually get out a period or two early so that she could start training a bit earlier. We would basically just put her study hall last period or an elective last period so that she wasn't missing any academics. And then she could get to the gym, train, come home, homework, dinner, bed. So that became our routine for a very long time. And she worked so hard. Man, I look back and wow, that was a hard, grueling schedule. And then as a working mom, I would come home from work, get dinner started so that I could bring her something hot and healthy to the gym for the ride home. And it wasn't even that long of a ride home, but we knew it was important for her to have something hot and healthy and quick.
Sure, they need to fuel up right away after practice. They're starving usually at that point once they stop moving. I love how you were able to work with your school to organize her schedule to make that work. That worked out for us as well when my daughter Leah was training elite for a couple of years. And it's so nice when you have principals and teachers that work with you.
We were really charting new territories at our school at the time. They really hadn't experienced that before. And they told me, we will try it and see how that works. And if it doesn't work out, we're not going to be able to accommodate her. Because she was traveling with the national team. So she would go to camps once a month and miss several days of school. And then she would also do international trips. So sometimes she would miss even longer. But we were very diligent to get her homework and make sure that she had everything she needed on the road so that she could continue to do her academics, because academics were a super important part of our family.
Terrific. All life skills, work-life balance, I'm sure that have all attributed to the rest of her life.
Yeah, I'm sure she learned a lot of things that she is now applying to her Beam Queen boot camp.
For sure.
I can attest to that as well because we live in the same city as you, Luan. And when we visited the school that Samantha attended, they actually referenced her as an example, as an alum that they're very proud of. And they were very accommodating for Ava. And they said, anything that she needs, we've done this before. We can work with her schedule as long as she stays on top of her studies. So I can say Samantha paved the way. So for that, my family is thankful. And I'm sure other families too.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. Yeah, I remember freshman year, she started school and I think she went maybe 2 days and then she left for the World Championships in Germany and she was gone, I think 2 weeks. And we had ahead of time got all of her assignments and her books and everything she needed. But that is a long time, and especially just being brand new at school. And I know when she came back, it was a little stressful. She was trying to remember, okay, where were my classes again? But we got through that. And fortunately, with the help of our school, they were very accommodating.
And that was prior to the virtual learning opportunities that we have now.
Right. Yeah. Things were not online so much at that point. There were some definite hurdles to overcome, but we made it through.
You touched on it briefly. You said that was stressful when she came back from the World Championships from Germany. Can you take us through some of the emotions of the Olympics, either before, during, and after, including sacrifices and how you handled the pressures that Sam may have felt?
Wow, that's a big question. Yeah, so Sam, of course, had sacrifices throughout the way. We tried not to sacrifice too much because we really wanted her to have a normal childhood. And I think she'll look back and think she has had a normal childhood. But there's things she had to miss. She had to miss the Washington, D.C. trip for 8th grade. There are certain things that I remember were just kind of like, oh, gosh, I wish we could work that out, but we just can't. But I think she would be the first to say that her sacrifices were totally worth it. She went to the Olympic Games, didn't have quite the experience that she had planned to have, came back, was a little bummed that she hadn't experienced exactly what she thought it would be like. And then we had to keep reminding her she won a silver medal, and it was the way that it was. And so after her disappointment and then seeing the big picture and realizing, wow, you're right, I need to be very grateful for what I have and what I have achieved.
I can imagine many people feeling that after they climb to the ranks of making it to the Olympics, and it may or may not go the way it's expected, as do many things in life. And so I can imagine that would be challenging coming back if the expectation is high and then maybe it's not exactly what you expected it would be. But sounds like you had an amazing support around her and just lifted her up when she needed you.
Yeah, we tried. Yes.
Yeah.
Destiny, you said that so beautifully. I couldn't agree more. Just having that support system. And when you do go in and you work your entire life for something and you don't get the results that you were hoping for, you do just have to keep plugging away and keep positive and be thankful for what you have had and all the opportunities that you have had. Transitioning a bit to your other daughter, Jessie, because your daughter, Sam, went on the elite path, do you feel like there was any pressure for her to follow in her sister Sam's footsteps? And as her mom, how did you encourage Jessie in her own ambitions?
Great question. So yes, everywhere we went, someone would say, oh, are you going to do the Olympics like your sister? So what we did is we sat Jessie down and we said, this is your path. This is what you have selected. This is what you wanted. And you just need to tell people, no, I have a different path. This is what I'm doing. She used that a lot. And she did. She had her own path. She did not want to do that elite thing. She had seen Sam go through that, and that's not what she selected. She had some ambitions, especially academics. She went into the medical field. She's now working as an anesthesiologist assistant in the OR. She really chartered her own path, went to Western Michigan and became senior MAC athlete of the year her senior year. So had a great career at Western Michigan and did exactly what she wanted to do.
That's terrific. I love how you guided her so beautifully. And it is so challenging with having two daughters and the younger one always feeling like they need to follow in the footsteps of their older one, trying to carve their own path and feel the confidence in themselves and what they're doing and being comfortable, being different, standing up for yourself to all those questions. I think that anywhere you go, when somebody sees that you're competing at higher levels of gymnastics, they think you're going to go to the Olympics. They don't realize that the elite world is very different. And being a terrific level 10 in college is, wow, an amazing accomplishment. I love that you were so supportive for Jessie, cater to her ambitions.
Yes, we did. Many times I had to separate. Ed would go with one, I would go with the other, but what a great journey.
We're familiar with the divide and conquer.
Absolutely.
We're still in
it. So, Luan, when you gave us a brief highlight of your professional background, you mentioned the vast experience that you have specifically with USA Gymnastics and your collegiate career. You quickly mentioned Jill Hicks Consulting, but that's currently the role that you're in. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do for Jill Hicks Consulting, how it relates to the recruiting coordinating job, as well as how that came to be?
Sure. I am an advisor with Jill Hicks Consulting, and we are a personal advising business. We help families through that college recruiting process. We like to get started at level 9 or freshman year, whichever comes first, help athletes with every step of the way. When to reach out to schools, what schools are good fits for them, what to include in your email, what to put on your Instagram, what camps to go to. We help them with all of those questions that they probably are going to have along the way. We place athletes at D1, D2, D3, and acro tumbling, as well as stunt. So there's lots of opportunities for gymnasts, and I just love helping families and really getting to meet them. And we do all of our calls on FaceTime or Zoom. So we really get to see one another, and then we get to see each other at meets, and it's so fun to actually see people in person. So I love that. That's what we do. And I really enjoy, I feel like I have a lot of knowledge about the sport, being a competitor, having been a coach, working at USA Gymnastics as an administrator with the sport, having two daughters. This kind of came full circle. And how it came about was Jill approached me. We had a breakfast meeting 5 years ago, 5 or 6. And she said, gosh, I feel like you would be great. You should come on board, join the team. And I got to thinking, wow, that is a really awesome opportunity for me. I have a lot of flexibility with my time. I can travel. My daughter, Sam, has a Beam Queen boot camp. So I travel with her and still have clients and am able to keep track with them.
I feel like you all are on the cutting edge. Many sports could benefit from having this resource of a consulting firm that can help athletes along their path to their goals.
What a terrific guidance. And with your wealth of experience that you have gained over all these years as a competitor, USAG administrator, coach, and having your daughters, obviously, it's just an incredible amount of experience and knowledge that you're able to share and be able to empathize with these teens that are having such an overwhelming experience of what am I going to do after school? Where am I going to go to college? And I'm sure it's super rewarding watching all of their hard work pay off. In what situations do you recommend to hire a recruiting consultant?
I believe that many families could benefit from hiring a personal advisor. We do a lot of different things. So my daughter, Sam, would have needed a very different advisor than my daughter, Jessie. Some families come to us and they are elite. They are being sought after by a lot of schools, and they hire us to help them navigate that and to try to figure out which one is going to be the best fit for them. Others hire us to help get visibility. How do I get attention from these college coaches? This is the school I really want to go to. How do I make that happen? Others, they're not sure if they are able to do college gymnastics, and they really want us to help advise them as to what the best fit is. And the best fit might end up being a D3 program or an acro tumbling program or a stunt program. So I think families hire us for a lot of different reasons. I've heard a lot that I become the buffer so that the mom is not nagging after the daughter, or the dad is not having to nag after the daughter. I can be the one saying, hey, did you do this? Were you able to send those emails? What response did you receive? So I can be that voice in their ear. So I think a lot of people really find that a benefit.
That makes total sense. I love how you say as a buffer, because it is a lot to have your parents nagging you. You've got your schoolwork, you've got your sport and everything else, and to have an outside source, what a benefit. So how do you decide which consultant at your firm would fit best with each individual athlete?
Right. Good question. I think 4 of us do gymnastics. When an athlete sends their form in, they can write down the name of the person that they've talked to if they would like that person, or if they're not sure, they just fill out a form and Jill will send them to an advisor.
How would you say the current recruiting challenges compare with recruiting challenges of the past? So maybe things that your daughter's encountered versus an athlete today.
Gosh, it's changed so much. With the advent of Instagram, it has made it so easy to post your routines so quickly and pretty effortlessly to be seen by college coaches. That has really helped things, but it's also made it so tough because now everyone is doing that and there are so many videos floating around. So how do you get your video to be seen? And that's what we work with athletes and help them with, how to get traction with what they're doing. There's a few little things that we can do to help them with the visibility aspect. That is the biggest change I see in college recruiting, the way in which college coaches are finding athletes.
And how do you feel that the NIL landscape is impacting the recruiting now?
Yes, an interesting question. So I have had some high visibility clients who have gone on to schools, and in their discussions of deciding which school to go to, that always comes up. So I think that those are sort of recruiting tools that colleges are starting to use to help athletes make decisions in their favor. I think we're very new in this whole NIL process. It's interesting to see the path that it's taking. But yes, it has become a topic in my clients' conversations.
Sure, the colleges seem to be offering incentives.
Right.
Certain colleges just can't compete with that because they don't have the funding. Perhaps down the road, there will be more rules and regulations. NIL is so new.
Yeah, and it's so different from when Sam went to UCLA, for example, because she was an elite. She was getting a few endorsement opportunities. And I would go to the athletic director and say, hey, they want her to do this. She's not going to get any money. They just want her to volunteer. And they would say, nope, sorry, you can't do that. I'm like, wow, okay. So she could not take advantage of anything. And now we're full swing. We're on the other end of the spectrum, right? Taking these endorsements and getting this money for doing whatever they negotiate.
Totally different experience now. I'm so happy for all the athletes that they're able to monetize on their talents and on their desires and hard work. The way it used to be, all the girls that were elites would forego college to make money.
Right. Like look at Jordan Weaver. She's a perfect example. She decided to go professional, is what they were calling it, and not compete at UCLA. So she came to UCLA to get her education. Then she became a team manager and paid her own way for school. Boy, it would have been so nice for her and the other girls that could have competed in the Olympic Games, taken advantage of opportunities, and then also compete in college.
Totally.
So, Luan, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's get to know you a little bit more personally. If you had a full day to yourself, I know you have a new puppy, Lola.
Yes.
What would you spend that full day to yourself doing?
Oh, I would do an event. I would go play pickleball, or I like to do Orange Theory classes, or I like to go for a long bike ride. I'm pretty active still. I really enjoy doing stuff. So that would be my ultimate day.
I think you align very closely with Tara and I.
Totally.
Too.
Yeah.
Off days, we just want to exercise and eat some good food and keep active.
Yeah, you probably won't see me in front of a TV very often. And I do a lot of client calls in the evenings. I usually am just working in the evenings.
So then how do you wind down before bed?
Oh, that's a very good question, because sometimes I'm a little bit later on calls, and then it does take an hour or so to wind down. So I will sit in front of the TV for an hour or whatever, or maybe read a book to try to wind down so I can go to bed.
Decompress.
Yes, for sure.
Do you have any guilty pleasures or pet peeves that you'd like to share with us?
I mean, guilty pleasure, chocolate? Got to have your chocolate, right?
Check.
That would be my guilty pleasure. And in terms of pet peeve, working at USA Gymnastics for so many years, being late is a big pet peeve of mine. We were taught, boy, you have to be on time and you have to be 10 minutes early. That's my pet peeve, when people are late.
Good habit to get into.
Yeah.
Understandable. Do you have any final words of advice for our moms of aspiring athletes, or maybe those who don't have access to a recruiting coordinator?
Yes, I would say continue to have fun with the sport and make sure your daughter or son is enjoying their sport, because that is so important, that they're having fun. They're going to look back on their career and they're going to remember the dinners. You went out to dinner after the meet. They're going to remember, oh my gosh, remember that time we did Disney when we had an Orlando meet? Or remember that time we played miniature golf when we did this? They're going to remember those events and those relationships that they built along the way. They're not going to remember that they fell off beam at that meet. They're not going to remember a certain score. When you're in the moment, those things are so important. And I remember that because they were so important to me too. But think of the big picture and the life skills that your daughter is learning, or son. Enjoy every single moment that they have something good happen to them when they come home and have a new skill, or they do achieve that score they've been looking for. Just celebrate those moments, because it's a short journey. It goes by really fast, and you want them to look back and remember their awesome experience as an athlete.
For sure. Thank you.
Luan, that's terrific advice. You get the opportunities to travel to so many places when you're an athlete. And it's hard to fit in fun things sometimes because you're focused on the game and getting up first thing in the morning and being properly fueled and getting enough rest. But those little things, like you said, playing a little miniature golf or having a dinner with your friends and teammates, those really make the memories.
The more you can carve those out on trips, the more you're going to appreciate that when you look back.
I agree. Great advice. So how can people keep up with you? Your social media, your websites?
So I'm on Instagram, Luan, Luan, Peszek, Peszek .jh Consulting. And I'm also on Facebook, Luan Peszek -jh Consulting. Email address is Luan, Luan, .jhicksconsulting@gmail.com.
Excellent. It's been such a treat talking with you today. Thank you for sharing.
Such a pleasure.
Well, thank you for having me.
We're so glad you've joined us today. Thank you for listening. Upcoming episodes and show info can all be found at sportsmomrapport.com. If you've enjoyed the show, please share it with a friend. We'd love to hear from you, so please reach out to us with any comments or if you or someone you know would like to share their story and connect with us.